That's supposed to be my walkout music, right? But no, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I appreciate that. So first of all, we all know that we're here because Miss Mendoza obviously has a vision. When I got the message from Sarai and from Miss Mendoza, she basically said, "Hey, we're starting all over again." Right. And I resonated with it was a long message, but I resonated with the message. And I understood the mission. So first and foremost, I don't deserve a round of applause, but Miss Mendoza, you do. So let's give her a round of applause first and foremost. Yeah. So, all right. So if you can hear me, all right. I hope you can hear me. They do have a mic, but typically I speak loud, so I don't necessarily need the mic. It might be overbearing if I do use it, so I'll just use my voice if that's okay. All right. So going back to what the message that I read from Miss Mendoza. In that message, it talked about how y'all was starting over. I didn't know it was like literally like starting over. I think y'all have like 5 staff still, if I'm not mistaken. Everybody else is pretty much brand new, right? And so when she said y'all starting over, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this is gonna start a new program. And no, it's a new school coming, new staff, the whole nine. And I resonate with that because I started my business 8 years ago. I walked away from a corporate job, understanding that I was gonna put my family maybe in a hard situation, but I had a vision. I knew I had to do it. And so I stepped out. A lot of time, and you'll hear me, mention scriptures here and there, or whatever. But a lot of time we talk about faith, but we don't step out on our faith, right? And it's one quote in the Bible, one principle I live by. He said, James says, "Show me your faith without works. I'm gonna show you my faith by my works." And so I stand on it. And so, and it's not just in a time of glory, but also in those rough times. And my wife is my partner in this thing, and so she's not here right now. But if you could show a picture of my family real quick. I know we have somebody running the laptop. You have the clicker. So this is my family. This is my beautiful wife. These are my 2 daughters and my 2 sons. They're a lot older than that now, but of course, I own a gym, right? So we took our first family photo in the gym, actually. That's just, who we are. But this is my family. This is why I do what I do. And I'm able to persevere through a lot of different things that I go through. And so I had to make sure I start with that because that's a part of my foundation. But my main foundation is, and everybody always introduced me as Coach D and Coach and so forth. But I'm a servant of the Most High first and foremost. I'm a servant of the Most High, and what that means is, and I hope this resonates with you, there's a scripture in Sirach 2 that says, "My son, when thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation," right? So a lot of us, we think, you hear, "Oh, I'm a servant of the Most High," and we say, "Oh, I was saved, or I found Christ," and so forth. Well, first and foremost, if you believe in scriptures, you believe in God. Christ died for us, so He did the saving, right? He's the one that you can elevate and put up and say, if anything, He found you, right? Because He did that for us. So for me, every time I go speak, I am Coach D, but I also want to be known as a servant of God. And I'm going to go back to the scripture. It says, when you come to serve the Lord, prepare your soul for temptation, right? So I thought when we came to serve, that it's supposed to be like, oh, glory, oh, I got saved, and I'm about to have this glorious life and things have changed. But I noticed about 15 years ago when I got that call that it wasn't that way. It wasn't all glorious. Again, around that time, I stepped out and started my own business. There was a lot of other different things going on. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, if this is supposed to be the calling, why is it not easy? But I hadn't found that scripture yet. But I was still searching. I was like, man, why isn't this going the way that I see it when I hear people talk about getting saved and so forth? It's because I don't think they actually read that scripture yet. And I don't think they really got to the point they think they're at just yet. It said, prepare your soul for temptation, right, when you come serve the Lord. And then it says, constantly endure. So that means if I'm going to be known as a servant and known as somebody in my community that's there for the people, and I have all these agendas and all these things I want to do, that I'm going to have to constantly endure hardness and different temptations and so forth throughout, that the picture's not going to be pretty up front, right? It's not going to be pretty up front. But if I know that going into this battle, if I have vision, knowing that when I get into this battle that is going to be tough, that's going to give me the strength to be able to push through whatever battle comes forward. Because it says you're not going to be exalted in the moment, and it's not about the moment, it's about the latter end. And the direct example it gives you right after telling you that, it says, gold is tried in the fire, right? And without me even saying anything, everybody knows the process of gold, right? Everybody knows the process of gold. When you take gold through the fire, what are you trying to do? Anybody? What are you trying to do when you take fire through the gold? Make it pure. Take all the impurities out, right? So that it can become pure gold. So likewise, it says a man that goes through the furnace of adversity. So if I can liken myself to a gold bar, right, before it becomes that gold bar, so before I become that pretty shiny thing, I got to go through adversity first. I got to go through adversity first because I'm not pure yet. I do have impurities. I do have things I got to work on. And before I get to that latter end, it's not going to be pretty first. It's going to burn. It's going to hurt. And when I'm going through that process, I understand that it's hurting, yeah, but I know what the latter end is, so I can push through it because I know once I get out of this fire, I'm good. I'm good. I'm straight, right? So when she said in the message, hey, we're going through a change, and I want them to, and I believe the words were, I want them to be able to get through the tough times during the change. Is that the correct way of saying it? I want them to be able to get through. The only way you're going to get through is if you have a bigger vision, right? Meaning you can see the latter end. Like, we look at the building when you pull up, the school's probably been here since, I don't know, 70s maybe. I'm not exactly sure when it was built. 50s. It's been here since the 50s. But there's construction companies out here, and as soon as you pull up on the gate there, on the fence, there's a picture of what it will become, right? But it's got to go through the fire first. The AC is not working, which is why we're crammed in here right now, right? I'm pretty sure that has something to do with it. There's a whole lot of little things that's going to happen in the beginning. Students getting ready to come back. I'm glad to send my kids back to y'all. I know y'all ready to teach. Y'all can have them, right? I know that's where we're at right now. So the kids getting ready to come back, and there are going to be some things that you're going to have to struggle and fight through during this process, but it's okay because hopefully after today, I can give you some vision of what the latter end looks like for you, because the latter end isn't even just getting through this year. And that's going to go into my message. My message is impact beyond the classroom, right? That's what we're here for. Impact beyond the classroom. If you could bring up the next photo real quick. So y'all know I'm Coach D, right? All right, cool. Yesterday I had a guy, this week, last 2 or 3 weeks, I had a couple guys get signed NFL deals. Great. Absolutely great for them. Like, this is what I'm in the industry for. I love being a performance coach. I want them to go succeed, follow their dreams. We have business meetings. We do all this type of stuff. Cool. He didn't get a contract yet. One of my guys that got a contract just yesterday. If you know anything about Instagram, you have what's called stories and you have posts. Which one lasts longer? The post. The post. The post. The post lasts longer. Post is permanent basically until you delete it. A story is up for 24 hours and only your followers can see your story. But a post, everybody can see and it lasts longer. So my guy that signed yesterday, I put a story up. Congratulate him. I put it on all my different pages, put a story up. I got a message from him a couple weeks ago and I made a post out of it because it goes beyond what we do in the weight room. I'll read the message right quick. He says, if you want to do a before and after on your page, man, I can't tell you how much you've done for my life. Thank you. I know I got things to improve on, but at least I'm not where I was 2 years ago. Changed my life, not just physically, mentally, spiritually as well. Thank you, Coach D, for real. All right. His name is Dante. This is when the summer started, and this is where we are right now. So it's a transformation photo physically, but it's the mentally and spiritually part that I pour into them on a daily basis that matters the most to him. Because some days physically when they show up, they don't want to be there. Professional athletes, collegiate athletes, high school athletes, youth athletes, they love the sport. They hate working out. Just like most people. They love, but they know if I work out, I'm going to be better at my sport. So for me, the workout, they can go anywhere and work out. When I was 12 years old, I built my first weight set in my grandmother's backyard, right? She had, y'all old enough to know, some of y'all, so I see some 20s. But y'all remember milk crates? All right, so I'm 42. Back then we had milk. I don't even know where they came from. They weren't delivering milk in them, but we had milk crates. And so I had these milk crates that I laid out, in a line, like 3 or 4 or so. And my grandmother had old stuff all over the place, plywood included. I put plywood on top of the crates, and I got a broomstick, and I put that in between the other crates, and I filled those crates with stuff, and I lift, and I would do whatever I had to do with it, right? I made a bench and the whole 9. So you can, if you're an athlete and you want to aspire to be great, you can lift and do whatever you want to anywhere at any given time. It's because you understand what you're trying to go achieve. So he doesn't have to come to me to train, right? But it's the mental aspect of it why a lot of those guys do come. And it's not just those guys. I have a 7-year-old baseball kid. You might have seen him before. Working at this kid is 7 years old. When I was 7, I didn't think like he does. He wants to be a professional baseball player. And one day he came in, and my beautiful wife, who you saw, she tried to talk to him like he was a 7-year-old kid that you're used to. And he was looking like, why is she talking to me like this? Like, in his mind, I'm already a professional athlete. And so I have to learn how to connect with athletes on that level from 7 years old all the way to the pros, and it go beyond just the moment of what we're doing. I have to understand, like, they have a vision, and my job is to help them get to that vision, right? His vision might be different than Josiah, who just signed, or Jalen, who just signed, or Kobe, who's been, like, his vision is a little bit different. He wants to make it to the league. Don't get me wrong. That's one of his main goals. But as you can tell, and I can tell by knowing him for the past, I've been training him since he was a teenager, right? I know based off of all the struggles that he go through, the main thing is this part right here. Because he knows physically we're going to get it. But it's that mental part of it, right? that I had to work on with him. And the vision I had with him was different than the vision I had with the other guys, right? And so the vision that she has for you might be different than the school you came from. I don't know what the vision was. I know what her vision is. She wants to excel. She wants to be great. She wants this staff to be great. They want y'all to have the same mindset that they have, the same energy that they have. So when you show up and you understand that you're going to impact these children beyond just the classroom, understand that you don't know how long that relationship is going to last. When I met him, I didn't know what it was, the outcome was going to be. He was a high school kid who was excellent as far as talent, but not so much mentally. Had some issues in college, the whole nine. Now he had injury, so trial after trial, that furnace of adversity. He was going through it, but we helped push through it to the point now where he's probably going to get an opportunity, right? And so you have to understand that when you're impacting these kids, there's going to be moments that you might not even know about that they deal with at home, deal with it at school with another teacher, but we don't want that to be you. We want your impact to be prosperous in their minds. So you can either be detrimental or instrumental in their growth, right? And so can you go to the next slide for me real quick? I know I don't have a whole lot of time, and I'm going to try to get through all of this before my time is up. So this right here is I use this picture a lot. A lot of people who know me know I always post this picture. First and foremost, this is my father, who I was named after. He grew up in Gulfport, Mississippi, in a time that was pretty rough. If you know, Mississippi's still rough, but back then it was even worse. A lot of stuff was happening. They moved out to California, watched riots and all that stuff, and they came to Texas. So he met my mother here in Texas. That's how I was born. And I only got to meet him at this particular time for a little bit of time before he went to prison, where he was in and out. He got out 2020. He's been out ever since. But it's one of my favorite pictures because I never looked at my father as absent or whatnot, because he taught me a lot while he was here. But at this particular moment, this particular program speaks volumes, because at this moment, they wrote an article about me. I had no clue they were writing an article about me. I was just doing what I was taught to do. And Dr. Mullen, this is ECLC, Early Childhood Learning Center in Fort Worth, right? So I was in kindergarten in this picture. Dr. Mullen was the principal of the school. But you would think she was everybody's auntie, grandmother, like she was everything to everybody. And she did whatever necessary to make sure that everybody excelled. And so at this particular location, I believe it went from kindergarten up to maybe third, fourth grade. I can't remember. I was too young to actually remember how old the older kids were. But I know there was a bunch of different kids within the program. So before I get to what she selected, she used to be at my desk every single day. I didn't know her and my grandmother had a relationship, and they were pretty close, right? I didn't learn that till later on. I was just like, why is this lady always around me, making me read? I'm like, man, they need to read too, right? In my mind. But what are you going to say? You know, I was, 5 or 6 years old, so it was like, okay, I'm going to just do what she told me to do. I didn't know my grandmother was the one telling her to make sure he does this, make sure he reads this. And then when I go home, my grandmother's making me read books. I want to watch TV, right? I want to watch Thundercats, right? How many of y'all old enough to remember? Yeah. I want to watch Thundercats, Transformers, He-Man. But before you do that, and you better hope you get it done before it go out, because back then we didn't have DVR and we didn't have YouTube. If you don't see it, you don't see it. So, and my grandmother was one to make sure, hey, you're going to read this book, and then when you get done, tell me what it's about. And not just read the back and get, no, I want to know certain names and everything else. So my grandmother made sure I was reading. So Dr. Muller was in cahoots with my grandmother, right? And at this particular moment, I had to do a narration of the Grinch, right? So it was a Christmas play. You can see the little tree here. It was a Christmas play and so forth. And I had to do the narration for this play. Now, mind you, I'm a kindergarten. There's older kids. There's teachers who could possibly do the narration. But they chose me because I was reading at a high level, which I didn't know. I thought I was just doing what Dr. Muller and my grandmother made me do. I didn't know I was reading at a high level. And so they made me do this narration. If you can look at my face, I don't want to do it, right? That's a look of, okay, I'm going to take this picture. Can we please get this done? That's how I was feeling. And when I was doing the narration, I remember my grandmother pointing at me like, get your head up and speak loud, right? And so that's what I did. I kept my head up, I narrated, and I spoke loud. Same thing I'm doing right now, right? And so I didn't know that would take me different places. The very next year, I went from kindergarten. I went to a school called Our Lady of Victory. So I went from kindergarten to second grade, didn't go to the first grade. And my first year there, I won, it was called Mailbox Max. It was an invention competition. I made this thing called Mailbox Max, which was, I don't know why I thought this way, because I'm always trying to help, right? But the mailman, I should see him struggle getting in and out with this big bag. And I'm like, why don't they make a central location where he can put mail in and it goes through these vacuums into your house? And that way, we don't have to go outside to get in the rain. He can just drop it off in one location, made sense to me. I won a project, and that was history, right? And so I didn't know that the study and all the stuff my grandma had, I had to read a whole section of encyclopedias. And then she made me go do math. And then she made me do all these things education-wise, and I didn't understand how it was going to impact me later. So likewise, with the students that y'all working with right now, you have no idea the impact that you're going to have on those kids. I still remember Dr. Mullen to this day. She called me 2 or 3 years ago like, hey, I'm writing a book. I want to put you in the book, and then I want to talk to your family, because she remembered me. So those relations, I'm 42. I was 5 or 6 years old, and we still have a relationship that goes beyond the classroom, and you can't fake that. You cannot fake it. And so if you're going to have that type of impact, you have to understand what's going to make you have that type of impact. And understanding your purpose, I think, will help you do that. It took me a long time. I had to go through a lot of trial, but I started understanding my purpose, like I said, about 15 years ago. And once I adopted the mindset, like, okay, I'm married to my purpose, right? Because I know a lot of us struggle with, like, why am I here? Once I understood what my purpose was, then it made it easy for me to do what I'm doing. I know in the scriptures it tell you that for the whole duty of man is to fear God and keep his commandments. Okay, that's cool. Fear God, keep his commandments. But what about my everyday life? How does that affect my everyday life? Well, I might be commanded different than you, or instructed, right? Or given a different gift than you. But within my gift, I said, okay, I put all this blood, sweat, and tears into playing sports, and now I'm investing my time into the athletes that I'm dealing with. How can I do it at the highest level? Not what athlete can I train? Oh, I just want to train. There's a lot of guys, they only train pros. They won't train kids, women, adults. They will only train pro athletes. I didn't have that mindset, because I know I can impact a 7-year-old like I was here, or a younger, the same way I can affect an adult. And so once I understood that my purpose, first and foremost, was to fear the Most High, keep the commandments. Okay, cool. Now, my purpose now is, how can I make an impact in the lives of the people that I'm in, so that I can have those same type of relationships with them, the same way I have with Dr. Mullen, right? And then I'm going to leave you with one more thing before I go, because I know we might be over time already. But Maya Angelou said, people might not remember what you say. They might not remember what you do. And who knows the rest of the quote? They're going to make they will remember how you make them feel. And I remember how I felt, right? I remember how my grandmother came to my school when I left this school to go to Our Lady of Victory. I believe by that time I was in the 5th or 6th grade. My grandmother was a nurse, and she had money for things that she needed, but she was also taking care of everybody else's children. My mother had my sister at 15, had 16, had me at 17. So she was a teenage mother. She couldn't raise me. My grandmother brought me in and raised me, which is how we got to that point. But I remember going to show and tell. My grandmother wasn't big on toys, and she wasn't big on animals or anything like that. So for show and tell, I'm thinking, well, what am I going to, because there's all the other previous show and tells, I didn't have anything, right? And she was just like, pretty much, you'll be okay. But this, for whatever reason, she decided this year, I'm going to show and tell with them. So I thought she was bringing me something. I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have something to show. Don't even know what it is. She came in, nothing in hand. So I'm looking around, I'm like, all right, well, I don't know what this is, right? She got up, she called me up to sit down with her. And she started telling her story about growing up in Mississippi at a time, obviously, when there was a lot of racism. And like at the time, I didn't know she has this scar on her shoulder. My wife has the same scar. I won't get into how she got hers, but she has this scar on her shoulder. And she said that this is her speaking to my class. You gotta imagine, we're 11, 12 years old or so. She's speaking to the staff and to the students and telling stories about how the dogs attacked her, and she was pushed through glass, right? And had this glass go through her shoulder, right? Because back then, of course, when they were doing their peaceful protests, it wasn't so peaceful. And so there was one moment that she was speaking about. I'm like, man, I'm starting to look around the room. I'm seeing how people are reacting. I'm like, man, because I'm sitting right here listening to her speak and watching them react. And then she talked about, like, the reason why she wears glasses is because at one point in time, when they were marching, the firemen hosed them down, and the hose hit her in the eyes, basically messed up her eyesight some. I'm like, man, this is crazy. And then on top of all the stories she was telling, at the end of it, she capped it off with what we call old Negro spiritual. She started singing this song, and then people humming and singing and crying. I'm like, this is crazy. She got me crying. I don't even know why I'm crying. I was right there next to her, not during those times, but I know this lady, right? But it's that feeling she was giving everybody, that everybody can. Nobody remembers that my clothes probably didn't fit. Nobody remembers when I had to come to school with a bread sandwich. If anybody know what a bread sandwich is, it's just bread, nothing else, right? So they don't remember those times or those days, but they do remember. And I still talk to people who know my grandmother. They do remember how she made them feel. And everywhere she go, man, my grandmother I should have got a picture of the biggest, brightest smile, right? And I love her. She's 90 years old. she just fought through some health problems, and you would not be able to tell that she's going through any health problems because her spirit is so high. Like nothing can break this lady. The only thing that's gonna take her is death. And I pray that the Most out of her spirit is right. So, because even in that moment, she's gonna be better off, right? And so that's who raised me. So when Sarai said, to Miss Mendoza, I got this guy who, fights through adversity and lives through all these different situations, and he has strength beyond. I get it from my grandmother because I have something that rooted me, and then I was able to use those tools as I was navigating through life, and I started to understand, like, okay, my impact and my influence is going to come directly from how I make people feel first and foremost. But how do I get them to that point? How do I get kids to react the way that kid react? Well, I got to invest in myself first, which is what I did. Like I said, about 15 years ago, I started studying scripture heavy. I started examining myself heavy, started to try to get those impurities out. I started to really accept the fact that I have to go through adversity to get to a point that I want to get to be able to be this person of gold. Once I accepted that, I became better, right? And I think the faster that we can understand that and that you can do that yourself, the faster you can help the children that you're directly in front of every single day, more than the parents, more times than not, right? Once you understand that and you can help them do the same thing, I think for you, your purpose will be fulfilled because you understand, okay, yeah, I got to show up to these meetings. I got this speaker coming in today. I don't know what he's going to get this done and be gone. Whatever, right? Like we have those thoughts. And then sometimes you don't want to be here. The children might be acting chaotic. I know this is elementary, but you don't have to deal with hormones and so forth. So you kind of got it made right now. And so, but you at a point where the things that you say are going to be very either detrimental or instrumental in the lives of the children that you see on a daily basis. And I think as long as you can accept that and understand all the stuff that I'm not exactly sure what Miss Mendoza is saying the struggles are going to be, but if you can see past that and understand that those kids, one of them might be right here, right, speaking at this school because somebody in this room impacted them in a way that made them say, I want to come back to that school and make sure I pour into those same kids the same way my teachers poured into me. I think if we can do that, then more than likely you can push through those battles and those struggles and you can have success. That's my time, y'all.